For the last and final time, Plexcelsior, everyone. Welcome to the final edition of Crisis on Earth Plex, Multiplex's weekly discussion show of all things news in the worlds of fandom, geek, nerddom, whatever you want to call it. We are here to discuss it. I am one half of your hosts for the evening, the Cosmic Night Fury, Nico, Suave, Regoli. And as always, I am joined by my co-host, the reigning, defending TV Throwdown champion of the world, Zaddeus Z-Man Smith. How you doing, man? The heroes for hire one last time in Multiplex.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm doing well, my good sir. It's a little bittersweet, man. To be honest, it's a little bittersweet. We knew about it, but for it to be literally the last time doing this, it's touching the heart a little bit. But you know what? I'm glad to be here with you, man. And again, we were talking about off air. Perfect week for it. If there was any week besides the week 52, this is definitely the week for finale of Crisis on Earth Plex.
Indeed it is. And you're right to say that the writing was on the wall. Like the fact that we were about to be canceled, the writing was on the wall, in bolder font than False God on a Superman statue. But we're going to make it work. We waited until Comic-Con because we wanted to make sure you guys had a big news-packed show to finish off on. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Before we get to the news, I just want to say shout out to Jonathan Peck in the chat. Glad you're here for our final show. And just for clarification, for those of you who are wondering, where the hell am I? I'm outside on a balcony of a very tall building in Carolina Beach, North Carolina. So, yeah, it's a very nice night, although there was some rain earlier. But even here in North Carolina, rain is beautiful, unless it's a hurricane, in which case, get the hell inside.
And you know the best part about your location now? That there's ever any awkward moments, or any silent moments that we literally have crickets in the background chirping. So, yeah, there's no need for a gift. You are literally in a real-life gift right now, so that's dope.
True. And hopefully the crickets are more soothing to the ears than the sounds of a bunch of adults and teenagers in a college cafeteria as I'm trying to play Sandy in a match back in September. That reference. Never mind.
I remember that. I do remember that match. Weren't you like the student union or something, or like in the?
No, it was the school cafeteria. And
okay.
The fact of the matter is, it was the picture day for our college newspaper, so I was just like, I had to be dressed and I had to be there soon, and I didn't know where there was a quiet room for me to work. I think the news studio was still being built at the time in the computer lab, so I had to work with the cafeteria, and you live and you learn. Now I mute whenever someone walks into the room, and there were a lot of people in that room.
Understandable.
But let's get to some business for tonight. We're going to start off with some rapid fire, about 10 to 15 minutes of said rapid fire news, because we know you want to get to the good stuff. You want to get to the stuff for Crisis on Infinite Earths, and you want to get to the Phase 4 MCU Hall H panel.
But first, we got to give them their vegetables, Nico. You can't have your meat. Can't go straight for your main dish. Give them the veggies. Give them the veggies, man.
Yes, this is the little veggie platter with maybe a few breadsticks as well before we can get to the actual main course. And we start off with, we've been talking about the Little Mermaid live action movie a lot, more than I thought we ever would.
Right?
But that's what happens when you have some slower news weeks. And we talked about rumors and fan castings of who was going to play King Triton. Was Idris Elba going to win a campaign started by the fans? Was Terry Crews going to win a campaign started by himself? Well, it looks like they're going with the most recent Pirates of the Caribbean villain, Javier Bardem. He is in talks to play King Triton in the live-action remake of Disney's The Little Mermaid. Zad, what are you thinking here?
You know what? Honestly, whenever I heard that Terry Crews, whenever he was trying to petition himself to be in it, I really thought that would have been a good choice, especially since I always remember King Triton was so jacked. And yes, there's the color thing and stuff like that. But Terry Crews would have been a very good King Triton, I think. However, I am not against Javier Bardem being King Triton. First of all, Javier Bardem is also a good actor as well. And as well, I'm not as sure how jacked he is or whatever, but that's fine with me. If he can give a good performance in this role, I'm cool with it. And as far as Idris Elba, he may have wanted been, our fans may have wanted him to be King Triton, but after they saw that Cats trailer, no, son, they took him out.
Oh, that Cats trailer was fucking horrifying.
That was nightmare fuel.
Like it just looked like they cut people's faces off and glued them onto CGI cats. Mm-hmm. It's so weird.
Kind of like that picture of Hugh Jackman in Deadpool when Ryan Reynolds just put it on his face. Yeah, that's exactly how they look.
So I haven't seen any pictures of Javier Bardem on a beach or anything, but from hearing from other people what he looks like shirtless, he's got a muscular dad bod, if you will. Like he's got a muscular stomach, but it's not really like a six-pack. It's like a firm barrel, if you will. So I feel like maybe he can portray it body-wise. And in terms of the skin color, for the longest time, I actually thought King Triton was orange, not Caucasian or not tan or anything like that. I thought he was just straight up orange. Mm-hmm. So, this is again, if they want to change it so that it's not European-based, but more so Caribbean-based, I'm all for it. Like, have some creative freedom. That's what we want to see.
I agree with you on that. I completely 100% agree with you. I'm cool with this. I'm interested. I've been interested with the rumors of casting, and actually not even rumors, with the casting choices that we've had over the past 3 to 4 weeks that we've been talking about The Little Mermaid. This is cool.
It is. Mm-hmm. And, I can't wait to see how much further the casting list of this movie shapes out, because, right now it's just talks. He hasn't signed an official contract yet. For all we know, he could want more money, or the deal could be just right. We don't know yet, but we'll find out soon enough. Moving on to, we've been talking about the DC Universe streaming service for a long ass time, and the big question was, much like our show, will it survive? And from the looks of it, it's managed to lengthen its lifespan, but in the weirdest way. So, thank God, Doom Patrol is getting a season 2. It's a brilliantly done show. It's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen, but it works so well. And the big question was, especially after Swamp Thing's cancellation after 1 episode, was Doom Patrol going to get a season 2? And it is. And it's going to get a season 2 that will air on the DC Universe streaming service, but also the upcoming HBO Max service. So the way I see it, it's very possible that maybe they are phasing out the DC Universe streaming service, but they're going to move everything to HBO Max. And this is a good way to introduce people to what the show is about, so that they can be like, hey, listen, we're going to get you started here with something. You get where I'm going.
Yeah, I see where you're going with it. And if that's the way that Warner Media is looking at it, then that way I can understand it. Other than that, if they plan on having this show on both networks or both apps, throughout the season and even into a possible next season, I'm not down for that. First of all, I think we don't know fully what the price is going to be for HBO Max, but I think they were talking about it's like in that $15, $16 range. I'm not up for paying for $16.99, allegedly, plus the $9.99 for the DC Universe app, when I have both the same shows on there. Now, if I know with the DC Universe, I have Doom Patrol, I have Young Justice Outsiders, I have Titans, which we'll get into in a little bit. So right now, Titans DC Universe is winning for me. But if, like you said, this is a way of phasing that app out, and they're slowly moving everything over to that, like maybe Titan season 2 moves over to the HBO Max app or HBO Max fully, or even a Young Justice Outsiders season 4, which won't be called Outsiders, possibly. But I'm gonna wait to see how this progresses. I really am.
If HBO Max is going to be in the $15 range, at least from what you've heard in terms of rumors, then AT&T is basically just screwing themselves again since having taken over Warner Brothers and everything that they own. Because you got to look at the competition. You've got Disney Plus coming out, and it's only going to be like, what, $7.99?
Yeah, $6.99, I think. So, yeah, $7 flat.
So $7, and then you got other services like the WWE Network. They always say $9.99, and then you got stuff like Netflix, which it's still in the $10 range. They've occasionally raised the prices because they're hemorrhaging money to make all this new content. And then you got stuff like Hulu, which will probably be in a Disney Plus bundle along with ESPN Plus. Once Disney Plus is officially released, you got UFC Fight Pass, all the other wrestling streaming services, all the other sports entertainment like boxing and kickboxing streaming services like DAZN. Not DAZN, DAZN is what it's called. So if your new product is the most expensive thing on the market, you're in trouble. You're already starting off with a bullet hole in your foot, and they should probably rethink something. Now, again, you just heard a rumor, so maybe
and that's just that was just conjecture, and that was probably what people were thinking that they will start out with, given what shows. And I do admit that whenever we first heard about the HBO Max, they did have like a huge library of shows that was going to be available for it. So a high price would somewhere make sense, even though a more Netflix's price would probably be better for HBO Max whenever it comes out. So again, it's completely conjecture, but I wouldn't be surprised if I'm setting myself up for it to be like $17. So if it's less, I should be happy. So,
and now we have to move into something kind of even sadder than potential expensive prices for a streaming service featuring HBO content and Warner Brothers content. Again, the DC universe, just when you think they're finally getting a win, they take another L somehow. And in this case, it's really sad because Titan Season 2, production had to shut down temporarily due to crew member, specifically the special effects coordinator named Warren Appleby. He was killed in an accident involving a stunt for the show. So from what I understand, according to this report, the stunt included a car flipping over on its side, and a piece of shrapnel flew off of the car and struck Appleby in the head. And he died, according to authorities in Toronto. Appleby died en route to the hospital. So I think the show has resumed filming since this report came out. But my God, how much bad luck can this streaming service have? And like all the shows were supposedly being canceled, and now they have a death on their set. It sucks, and I feel for the family, like especially considering when you think about it, that's a horrifying way to go out. Just like a small piece from a big car just got launched off after it rolled over and just hit you right in the head. It's like that's horrifying.
Yeah, it is tough, and well, it does in regards to like Titans, but I do feel bad. I feel bad for both Warren's family and for probably his extended family that he's had like throughout the industry, because I believe I was reading that he's been in the industry for like over 25 years. So I can't speak to the type of man he was, but if you've touched many people's lives in 25 years, so I'm pretty sure they're mourning his loss, and there'll be thoughts and prayers go out to his family and to his extended family. And as for the show, if it's resumed filming, I think we heard about this last week, closer to like our last episode of Crisis. So 7 days to resume filming on the show. Okay, understandable. When it comes to matters like this, it's probably more of a the grieving process, even for family or for like the extended family, like for his show people, is different for everybody. I'm sure. So I'm pretty sure that they have. I'm hoping that Warner Brothers and Titans, the crew and cast them is doing anything in poor taste by being like going back to film and starting filming season 2. I don't believe they would. I believe they've probably shown respect to his family. At least I hope so. But it's just a sad situation all around, and it will be interesting when the show actually does begin to air on the DC Universe app or maybe the HBO Max app. I mean, it should definitely. I would feel it should definitely be dedicated to the person. I wonder how much of that will kind of loom over the season.
My main thought is who was on set in terms of the actors, more specifically the younger actors, when this incident happened. Because, like, they have kids working on the show, and, someone dying during production, that can scar someone for life. And granted, this is a darker show, so you can use the emotion to better your scenes, but you'd rather not have that traumatic experience to act better in your scenes. You just rather do a better job acting. So, like, if any of the younger actors were on set when this incident occurred and they witnessed it firsthand, I hope they get some counseling if they need it, and hopefully this doesn't screw them up in like a Jake Lloyd-esque manner.
That would definitely be up to on like the production manager and like the director and stuff for the show. I will hope that they have their ears to the ground and they're actually able to be in contact and communication with their employees and stuff like that. Hopefully they're taking care, like you said, their kids, because there are some young people that work on the show.
Well, from all of us here at Multiplex Entertainment, we wish the best to the family and friends of Mr. Appleby, and to everyone working on Titans who has been grieving through this difficult time. And now, seamless transition. Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's been good. People don't give it enough credit because season 1 was kind of slow to get through. But once it found its footing, it kept on running for the hills with the baton in their hand. And now we're in season 6, midway through, and again the show it's been weird, but it's been good. And I haven't seen the last 10 episodes of the most recent episode because we literally left the house to come here right as I was watching it. So I'll still need to see the ending, but we knew an end was coming. And I once heard Seth MacFarlane discuss when talking about Family Guy that when a show surpasses its 7th season, the content afterwards starts to get stale and boring and uninteresting. So I feel like it's very appropriate that Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is ending on its 7th season with a 13-episode arc.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, because some shows can stay around too long and miss out on their perfect ending. Supernatural season 5, episode 20. Sorry. Yeah, and even though that show is actually finally ending after 15 seasons, but I love this show, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And while was definitely one of the ones that through the first 13 to 14 episodes of season 1, it was kind of like, okay, it was loosely connected to some stuff like, Door to the Dark World, yay, that's cool. Yeah, they were in London. Oh, that's fine. But it was when Captain America: The Winter Soldier came out, that's when shit really picked up on the show. And after that, is like you said, it hit the ground running and do every season. And even while this season's been a little bit weird, every other season has been fire, literally for season 4. And it's been a great show. This season I'm sure our fans have seen my kind of wishy-washy ways with this show this season, but it's gotten better, and it will be sad to see the show go. However, it's better to go go out and while you're like running and you're still able to walk, then it'll be like limping along and like just scraping the bottom of the barrel for materials. So, I mean, I'm fine with it. And literally, I was actually kind of prepared for it to end last season. I think the last episode of season 5 was literally called The End. So, I'm like, okay, Agents of Shield may not be coming back, but they surprised me when they said that it was going to be renewed for season 6 and 7. So, because they renewed it like quickly after season 6 renewal. So, the writing's been on the wall a little bit for this. I'm not too surprised for this.
I'm very curious to see where this goes, simply because, again, we're still uncertain if we're still operating within the same universe as the Snap, because like, for the latest I've heard is that season 6 is basically takes place 1 year after the Snap, but we have not heard a single mention of the Snap. So like, I'm wondering, are we in an alternate reality? Like, and there's grounds from season 5 to suggest that we are, because of they got sent forward in time and then they got sent back in time. Did they get sent back in time to their continuity or to a different continuity where the Snap might not have happened? That's the big question. But nevertheless, so far I think it's safe to say that the most connected to the movies TV show that Marvel has put out is Agent Carter, because they don't have to worry about that kind of stuff, because they've already gone back to the past, and we've had Jarvis make an appearance in Endgame with the actors. So the continuity works well with Agent Carter, but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's kind of up in the air still.
I agree with you on that wholeheartedly. However, I will say, once you watch this last episode, it either gets way more confusing, or you can start to see where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has left themselves out. If you watch season 6, episode 10, they have a good little out that they can see, oh, the Snap hasn't happened up here. So, but you'll see that whenever you watch it. And for people, y'all may be able to see my review on it, but you'll catch that later.
All right, so that was the slowest rapid fire ever. We're already 25 minutes in, and yet we still have a long ways to go. So let's get into the Crisis on Infinite Earth stuff within the Arrowverse, and we start off with. So we now know who's going to be the main villain of the Flash's season 6, and that is Ramsey Russo, aka Bloodwork, played by Heroes actor Sendil Ramamurthy.
Thank you for saying it, because I was going to say Sendil R. Mohinder Suresh from Heroes. Because good job, Nico. I was not sure how to pronounce that.
So in the comics, this character is like I think it's a hemophiliac. Like he has problems with blood, and then he does a lot of scientific experiments on himself to cure himself, and then he ends up becoming invulnerable in the process. I don't know if they're going to do that here, but that's kind of what the origin is in the best summarizing way I can describe it without looking at an actual article. But I listened to his monologue in the trailer, and for a second I was thinking, did they get someone from the Doctor Who series? Did they get David Tennant here? Because like it just sounded like someone familiar to me, who might have been a Doctor Who actor that also was in like a Star Wars thing or a Harry Potter thing at one point. But no, it's a Heroes actor, and now that I think about it, I'm seeing his face again from when all those Heroes teasers were playing. So good to see he's still getting work in the superhero world.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And like whenever I start hearing his voice in the trailer, I'm like, wait a minute, is that Dr. Suresh? Because he talked a lot during Heroes. Like, I loved the first season of Heroes, and even the second one was cool, but he monologued a lot. So his voice was like, okay, is that him? And it wasn't until he turned around like, okay, I haven't seen him in anything since Heroes ended out, I think. So again, I'm happy to see that he's still living the superhero world.
What was his power in Heroes, if I may ask?
Well, he didn't have powers at first until he was just a doctor whose father was able to. His father is the one who discovered that other people had powers across the world after the eclipse, and he ended up giving himself powers. I think in like season 4 of the show. but when the show was kind of on the slope downhill, he got super strength, but he also kind of turned himself into a mutant. Also, like with hard scales and stuff like that. He was turning himself into Doomsday a little bit. So
Huh. Interesting.
yeah.
Interesting. Heroes is one of those shows that I never watched, but I feel like I probably should at some point.
It should have been better than it should. It started out great, then just got weaker and weaker, and oh my god, are you serious? Just like that.
Okay, moving on. Also in Flash news. So Zed, remember like several months ago when we talked about how Cisco Ramon was supposedly being written off after season 5? Well, according to the teasers for season 6, he's apparently still there.
Yeah.
I don't like. Maybe he filmed the episodes before he left, or maybe the contract was extended until after Crisis on Infinite Earths, or they'll officially write him and his girlfriend off. But he's still there, apparently, working at Star Labs. He's powerless now in terms of like he can't vibe anymore, but he's still in Star Labs.
Yeah, and I remember after seeing the trailer, I'm like, I thought Carlos Valdez was leaving the show, and I was started looking up, and I think it was just about it was more about rumors of Cisco. It was more rumors of Cisco leaving since he was becoming powerless now. And Carlos, I think he even wrote a statement saying, "I'm not going anywhere." So if that's the case, hey, I'm cool. Maybe he'll actually be back to Cisco from season 1, pre-vibe powers and stuff like that, which he was cool. I guess he'll be the namer. He'll just be the namer of the group now. And it's also listed from the trailer that his girlfriend, Camilla, I think is her name, is going to be part of the team somewhere. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting because, you know, she had the most understanding girlfriend moment of all time when she was like, "You have, I read comic books. You have powers. I get it. You were doing this for my safety and yours." I feel like I feel like they just didn't want any conflict with that episode, so they were just like, let's make her very, very understanding.
Right. I agree with that. They look for the easy way out, and it was nice to see. It was nice to see a girlfriend on the show be understanding of her boyfriend's secret identity or her loved one's identity and why he kept things a secret.
But so we'll find out in maybe a few months if this next story is true or not.
Yeah.
But so we move from Flash to Supergirl. First off, we should mention that Jeremy Jordan will be returning as Win Shot for season 5. I can't remember if it's permanent stay or if he's just coming back for it's 3 episodes. I remember he's coming back for 3 episodes.
Hey, that's cool. I actually, you can actually feel you can kind of feel the gap that Win had since he was gone to do this past season. And while Brainy has been a funny add to the show, especially his relationship with Nia, it was cool having Win be on the show. If only for the fact I was personally waiting for Win to go evil like his dad and become the next Toy Man or something like that. But who knows how he's going to go, because I think he's been in the future for the past season.
Yes, he was in the future helping with I can't remember what they were fighting off, but to put it one way, the character of Win Shot was kind of like Leonard Hofstadter, and then Brainy was like Sheldon Cooper. So they took one of the 2 main characters from The Big Bang Theory and replaced them with the other, if that makes sense.
I see what you mean. I never watched The Big Bang Theory, or have I? But I know what you mean.
But okay, so that there was some good news to set us up for this supposedly bad news. But Makad Brooks, who we all love as James Olsen, he's apparently getting set to leave during the first half of season 5.
Yeah, that did suck when I saw that, especially because I think given how he developed powers towards the end of the season last year and stuff like that, well, towards the middle to the end of the season, I could see him taking his guardian role and actually doing something with it, being a helpful for Kara and the team. However, on the flip side of things, this is just me like writing for WB, so if they want to take my story, fine, do that, please. But if James is actually going to his own city where he's gonna like maybe protect the city as Guardian, I'm cool with that. That's the way that the show ends up going, and this pure fan theory right here. I'll be okay with that as long as they give him a good reason for leaving.
Or so Supergirl doesn't die in Crisis. What if James Olsen is the replacement along with Oliver Queen?
No, don't kill James. Don't do it. Don't do it, Nico.
Well, if he's leaving, might as well give him a great send-off. And what better way than dying in your biggest crossover?
Let him be his own hero. Let him get his spin-off show in like in another universe.
You were about to say in Disney Plus.
I stopped myself.
We'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. And if season 5 is his final season, then hopefully he'll make it a good one. And speaking of final seasons, Arrow season 8. We know that it's wrapping up with 10 episodes, and then the show is bye-bye. And we know that they're still apparently they're still playing with the future storyline, the flash forwards now, which, depending on how they were written, they can be looked at as good or they can be looked at as bad. If you talk to someone like Jason Inman, he'll say the show was poorly written for season 7. But, who knows? Maybe with 10 episodes, they'll get it right. Maybe they'll have a set idea of what they want to do, and they can knock it out of the park in terms of execution. One of the things we know is that John Diggle Jr. was apparently leading the Deathstroke gang, if I'm correct.
Yeah, you're right.
And now we're going to get to see his actual face, because the character of John Diggle Jr. in the future is being played by Chicago Fire's Charlie Barnett.
Yeah, this was actually a very good casting, if I may say so myself, because given him being Lila and Diggle's child, and I really hope that Arrow does not forget to give us the reason why Connor Hawk is their adopted son. So Arrow season 8, you'll really have to step your game up, but that's with Connor. It really makes sense that Charlie Barnett, it could be their child, and he looks like he could be a older version of JJ. Yeah, they call him JJ, and it'll be interesting though to see why he actually became the leader of the Deathstroke gang. Like maybe if he rebelled against his parents or something like that, for maybe adopting Connor or something like that. So that should be pretty fun to see.
It will, and I look forward to seeing what he brings to the role. Chicago Fire, that's another show that I've thought, should I watch this? It looks kind of interesting, and just never got around to it.
It's a pretty good show. I've watched for like 4 seasons. Bad thing is there's nowhere to watch. They're not on any streaming platform like Netflix or anything, unless NBC comes out with their streaming platform, which I'm sure they will.
Is it on Hulu?
No, only the current season's on Hulu, so you can't go back and watch other seasons. Because actually, we'll have to catch up. But it's a pretty good show. I know Lauren German from my great show Lucifer used to be on that show as well. So
interesting. I'll have to check it out at some point. Okay, we beat around the bush long enough. Time for some actual Crisis on Infinite Earths news. Specifically, who's gonna be in it? Now, we obviously know that the several main cast members of the various shows in the Arrowverse are going to be in it. But who else is going to be in it? Well, first off, John Cryer's Lex Luthor is going to be returning for the Crisis on Infinite Earths event.
That was good to hear.
The first live-action Robin, Burt Ward, is going to be making an appearance in Crisis. As for what role, we're not entirely sure, because obviously Robin has not been introduced in the Arrowverse. But things could change. But for now, we just know Burt Ward is going to be in this somehow. Brandon Routh, not only will he likely be playing his regular role of the Atom of Ray Palmer in Crisis, but he's going to be donning the Superman outfit again.
That was very cool to hear, especially that they were even touching that universe as Superman. And I'm very interested in seeing how they're going to bring in Bryan Singer's. Yeah, I think he was the director. Bryan Singer's Superman into the Crisis on Infinite Earth story.
Well, I've heard conflicting things about whether or not it's his Superman Returns rendition that's making an appearance here, or if he's going to be playing the Kingdom Come Superman. And
okay.
I don't really know if that was also the Superman that appeared in Superman Returns or not. So he's going to be donning a Superman suit. I just don't know which.
I agree with you. That if Grant Gregory, if you're watching this, please let us know if the 2006, 2005 version of Superman and Superman Returns was the Kingdom Come version. Please and thank you, good sir.
And I'd like to thank What Culture for relaying these last two casting.
And I want to put a bit maybe on this because I followed this actor on all his social media platforms. Yes, I'm a fanboy. So I have not seen him tweet or write about it yet. But as soon as I do, I will allow myself to get excited. Not that I'm excited now, but I hope this is true. So go ahead.
Okay, we'll put this down as a rumor for now. But according to whatculture.com, their comics section specifically, Linda Carter, who a lot of you may remember as the president from previous seasons of Supergirl, but you might also remember her as Wonder Woman from the 70s. She is, according to this article, going to also be in Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now, will it be as Wonder Woman, or will it be as her alien role from Supergirl again, or will it be something entirely different? I'm not sure, because again, take this story with a grain of salt, because Zad, you're a fanboy, as you just said, so you would be the first person to know if this was true or not. I'm going to just put the camera on you as you nod nervously, like you're about to explode. Tom Welling.
Yes! Wait, okay. Cool. Cool. Go ahead.
Yes, Tom Welling, who you may remember as the Clark Kent / Superman / Kal-El from Smallville. Somebody save me.
Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
Again, according to this What Culture article, he might also be in this. And, that's been the big rumor of will he be in it or not for the longest time, especially considering they just introduced Smallville with the Smallville music in the last crossover event that they did.
Mm-hmm. And I really, if you can't tell, I really would love for this to be true. I would really love if Tom Welling was coming to the Arrowverse. He doesn't even have to be Superman. If he shows up at the Daily Planet with his Clark Kent uniform from the last episode of season 10, or if he came back as the Red Bluebird, I don't care. Tom, actually, he probably has to be like an older, more distinct version of Clark Kent / Superman. But Tom Welling, please sign on this. This would be the greatest show ever if you did. However, if you sign on to it, I also want to issue a challenge. And to anybody that's watching this show right now, JP, if you're still watching, if you share this, please hashtag Mr. Inside View podcast host himself, Mr. Michael Rosenbaum. If Tom comes back, we want you to, Tom. And Kristen, if you're watching this, hashtag Kristen too. Kristen, come back, please.
But what's her name? Allison Mack. You can stay in jail. You can stay in jail.
Allison, you can stay where you at.
And just to keep on the rumor mill again, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've also heard that maybe the Titans from the DCU could also be featured in this somehow, and then that would make more sense for Burt Ward to maybe appear as Robin. As an older Robin. So again, the rumor mill is a buzz with who's going to be in this Crisis. But I can tell you for a fact that John Cryer is confirmed, Burt Ward is confirmed, and Brandon Routh as multiple roles is confirmed. So we'll see how this list continues to grow as time goes on. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, we intended to close out Crisis on Earthplex with this specific topic of discussion: the Hall H Marvel Cinematic Universe San Diego Comic-Con 2019 panel.
Yes, this was great.
And, it started off with Kevin Feige just basically whipping his dick out Kevin Smith style and laying it on the table saying, "Hey, Avatar, hold my beer."
Suck it. Suck it, Avatar. You big blue Papa Smurfs.
Yes, I can't believe it happened, but Avengers Endgame has beaten Avatar's worldwide box office, thereby making it the new king of all movies worldwide.
Yeah, and it kind of caught me by surprise too, because I was thinking it was happening sooner or later, but it was almost like perfect timing. Like Kevin and the rest of the studio bought $4 million worth of tickets or $7 million worth of tickets just to push it over for Comic-Con week. That was very coincidental, if I may say so myself. But this was great news myself. I was like, yes! And I think James Cameron has congratulated Avengers also. I mean, and Disney and Marvel and stuff like that, which he should, because now Disney is his boss too. So he should be happy about their success and realize that nobody wants to see his bit Papa Smurfs ripoffs from Pocahontas movies in 2 to 3 years anymore. I'm sorry. I'm speaking my inner thoughts out loud now.
I have no thoughts on this, because other than congratulations. We all thought there was a chance. We all thought there was a chance, and I'm very happy to see that it did it. It did it. Especially considering it's perfect that a movie that spent this much time. Well, a movie within a universe that spent so much time building that universe it resided in and leading to this culmination, this final epic battle that we call the Infinity Saga. It's just so right to have this at the top. And I can only imagine what movie could top it within the next 20 to 30 years. Is there any movie that could knock Avengers Endgame off its perch? We'll find out soon, because those movies have not been written yet.
Yeah, right? At least not yet they haven't. So, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the next, after Marvel's next 23 movies or 22 movies, that we have a big grand movie like this again. Hopefully so, though. Maybe a Young Avengers movie. Yes.
But with the bragging from Kevin Feige out of the way, it was finally time to get into the announcements of what Phase 4 will look like. And he didn't mention this one first. He saved it for last, technically. But we're going to mention it first because chronologically it works better for the discussion. We knew it was coming. It was just a matter of when would it be released. And now we have a lot of information regarding the long-awaited Black Widow solo movie. It will be coming out on May 1st, 2020. It'll be the first thing for Phase 4. And basically, I think we've said this before, but the film will cover Natasha Romanoff's happenings in between Civil War and Infinity War. Obviously, Scarlett Johansson is playing the lead, and we now have more information regarding the rest of the cast list. All we could do for a while was speculate as to who was playing who, but now we have concrete info. David Arbor. Sorry for those of you who got their hopes up when I said that he mentioned The Thing. Maybe he was just fanboying about the possibility of this Fox deal. But David Harbour is playing the character of Alexei Shostakov, a.k.a. Red Guardian, which in the comics is basically the Russian equivalent of Captain America. But in terms of this movie, the description reads, the Russian super soldier counterpart to Captain America who has a history with Romanov. Arbor stated that the character has a lot of development and changes over the course of the film.
Yeah, that's interesting because I never heard this character before, but a Russian version of Captain America. Hoping he's I'm not sure if he's necessarily a good guy or bad guy, or at least how David Harbour is going to be portraying him. I mean, I would think after David Harbour's been like all over the movies and TV world for at least the past couple of years as Hopper from Stranger Things, and also he was Hellboy in the latest Hellboy movie. So I would think that the studio would be building up on his funniness and also his goodness to hopefully make this David make this let's see Red Guardian guy a pretty good guy at least. I don't know.
In terms of non-comic book mediums, the character of Red Guardian has most recently appeared in maybe 1 or 2 episodes of Avengers Assemble from a couple seasons ago, and also the character had an arc in Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, the video game. So they I guess they were testing the waters with the character, because I know there's like a Russian equivalent of the Avengers as a whole as well, and this is like their leader. So who knows? They could be doing some more world building in terms of like they're trying to set up international Avengers teams now. So we could get Alpha Flight somewhere down the road, especially with Wolverine now in the mix again. But that's a story to be told for another day. Florence Pugh, she is playing the character of Yelena Belova. So my thoughts of the Red Widow of Ava Orlova being a character in this movie, I guess, have gone up in smoke. Florence Pugh will instead be playing Yelena Belova, who is, in the comics, she is like the original Black Widow, I believe. And then in some cartoons, very recent cartoons, she's been called Crimson Widow to create a differentiation between her and Natasha. But in terms of this movie, the description reads, a sister figure to Romanoff, trained in the Soviet Russia Red Room to be one of their assassins, known as the Black Widows, which again, could there be some ties to Agent Carter there? We obviously remember Dottie from the show was also a member of the Red Room, and they mentioned her. Well, Bucky kind of mentions someone with a name similar to that in Civil War when they're talking about when they're just getting off the jet, if you remember that scene.
Wow, good callback. I did not think about that, but very good callback.
So the Black Widow program, the Red Room program, is something that we've known about since Age of Ultron, and it's been slowly touched upon in Agent Carter, but it looks like we're going back to that now to further flesh out the story of it.
And that was very cool, especially with it being Florence Pugh. Like, she's been in a lot of stuff lately, primarily from what I remember her, and was, of course, fighting with my family as Paige, the wrestler. But I think she was also in the movie Midsummer, which I haven't seen yet. Not the biggest horror guy, but it seems like she's on the come up for me. So that's going to be very interesting to see, and hopefully, maybe again, just speculating, maybe she'll be a future Black Widow for like the Avengers, or for maybe for Shield or something like that. Who knows how she's going to tie into the future, or maybe she's a villain. We don't know.
Again, I feel like the writing is on the wall that we could be getting a Young Avengers down the road, especially with someone like Florence Pugh in the mix, with someone like Tom Holland playing Peter Parker as Spider-Man is sort of leading the charge now for the Avengers in terms of the United States. And, you know, we're going to be talking about some shows coming out that could also lead to the Young Avengers or the New Avengers, a new version of the Avengers at some point. But getting back to this cast list, O.T. Fagbenley. That is a weird-ass last name that I did not feel comfortable saying. He is playing a character known as Mason. The description reads, an ally from Romanoff's past from S.H.I.E.L.D. who is romantically interested in her.
Okay.
So just by that description alone, I have a feeling this character is going to die.
Yeah, right. I do too. Like, he's not long for this world. Not at all. She's gonna come back to the room and find him in the horse head, like in their bed or something like that, bloody.
Because if he were to survive, we would have seen him in Infinity War, because that's when the film is taking place. It's filling in the gaps between what happened after she ran away from Stark in Civil War to what happened to where we find her saving Wanda and Vision in Infinity War. So, like, if he's not there, then he died. He died.
I agree. I agree with you that maybe he was snapped away, which could be possible, and maybe he's back now. But he's back and she's not. What? How sad would that be?
Pretty sad. Pretty sad. We also have Rachel Weisz playing a character called Melina. The description reads, a seasoned spy trained from the Red Room who was deeply involved in a scientific experiment. Now, Variety Magazine's YouTube channel has a theory, and I'll get to it in just a moment. But Melina, yeah, it seems like that's way too basic of a name. That I feel like they're gonna tie it to something that we're familiar with, kind of like how they did with Zendaya's playing Michelle, but really she's MJ.
MJ.
Yeah,
I completely agree with you. And with it being Rachel Weisz, also, I'm not sure. A seasoned spy trained from the Red Room who is deeply involved in a scientific experiment. That's very, 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 very vague. So I 100% agree with you that this has to be somebody else. When I saw this, and when I first saw this, my first thought was, I know she's actually the cousin of Bruce Banner, and in the comics and stuff. However, the MCU does their own thing somewhat, and this is my personal choice. This would be very interesting if Rachel Weisz somehow becomes a She-Hulk. I don't know if it's possible, but it'd be very. It seems super vague that wants us to draw some fan theories. So I'm going to throw out the first one on the last episode of Price on Plex. That way, you can't yell at me if I'm wrong. I'm going to say Rachel Weisz is going to be the She-Hulk.
Not Boom. The theory I was going with. But I'll get to the theory in just a second. But to read the last two things here in terms of casting, Ray Winstone also has an undisclosed role in this movie. And we do know from having seen set photos that the character of Taskmaster has been confirmed to be an antagonist in this film, although it's still very uncertain who is the actor underneath the mask. And this is where Variety Magazine's YouTube channel got into the theory of, could Melina be Taskmaster? Like, could she be posing as this figure underneath? Like, is she smart enough to realize that boob armor doesn't work, and so she's got the bulkier mannish armor on and the mask so we can't see her? And like, maybe the experiments that she underwent in the Red Room caused her to develop that photo-reflective memory that Taskmaster is known for, and that making her like the ultimate assassin in a way.
That makes sense, and if that's the case, hey, that's cool. You got yourself a nice little double play. It makes a lot of sense. However, I'm swinging for the fences, and I will either foul or hit a home run with my guess. I don't care either which one, but I think, again, Rachel Weisz being in this movie, again, she's a good actress in my opinion. I've been a fan of her since the Mummy days. I know she's been in other movies as well. So this will be interesting to dig deeper into what her role will be for the Black Widow movie. With Ray Winstone, also almost got him confused with the Punisher, Ray Stevenson at first, but I had to look up who Ray Winstone was at first. Okay, different guy, but it's a good cast, and I'm very interested in seeing this movie now. And not saying that I wasn't before, but the cast has intrigued me more than I was a week ago. And
I was intrigued from the very beginning, because I was I think I was one of the few people who was like, I want to see a Black Widow movie, because the more I hear the rumor, the more I want to know what will it look like that differentiates itself from what we're used to with Iron Man and Captain America and Thor and the Hulk and Doctor Strange and the Guardians. they all have a unique feel to them. We don't really know what a Black Widow movie feels like yet. We just know the trope that it will follow will probably be a spy movie, but it will also break those tropes because it's an MCU movie, and the MCU has as much a habit of breaking tropes as it does following them. So we'll see where it goes. And I'll leave off with this. I do want She-Hulk in the MCU at some point in time. However, Rachel Weisz, I would rather go with Rashida Jones.
Yo, that would be nice too if we could get Rashida in the MCU. If that's the case, if only if we get Rashida, well, maybe somebody else that I haven't thought about. I would like to see Rashida Jones as She-Hulk, but if Rachel Weisz isn't going to be She-Hulk, then let's go with Rashida. I'll be okay with that.
I just feel like Rashida Jones has the better comedic timing that you need for a character like Jennifer Walters / She-Hulk, especially when you have Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, who is known to be a jack of all trades in terms of his acting range. And now that we have like this nerd with this giant green hulking body wearing sweaters and eating eggs at a diner, taking photos with kids, Rashida Jones is like the perfect counterbalance to that. So like I can just see the most hilarious conversations happening in that diner.
I agree with you on that. I completely agree with you on that. Yo, shout out to Hunter, who's on the Combat Wrestling Network. I just saw him in the chat. What's up, good sir?
How you doing, Hunter? And Jonathan Peck, if you're still here, glad to see you're still sticking with us too.
I think he is. Thank you, JP.
The dude's a very dedicated fan to everything we put out in this community. Okay, moving on. One of the cool things about Phase 4 is that Phase 4 will be including the Disney Plus streaming services series within the continuity. And there's going to be a very fun thing that we're going to mention later on in the show in terms of like how the movies and the TV shows will interconnect. But we're going to, in terms of the TV stuff, we're going to be starting off in the fall of 2020 with The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Anthony Mackie returning as Sam Wilson, the Falcon, and we've now been told this, so it's true, he has tested a Captain America-style Falcon suit. So my guess is that will be the final episode of 6. He realizes he is now comfortable in his role as Cap, or more comfortable than he was before. He feels like the shield is his now to use, and so he gets the paint job to match. Also in this show, we have Sebastian Stan returning as the character of the Winter Soldier, as Bucky Barnes, as White Wolf, maybe?
Maybe so.
Because I feel like he's better suited as White Wolf. It's given him new life, although basically America still recognizes him as the Winter Soldier. So we might know him as one. He might consider himself to be White Wolf, but there are a lot of places and a lot of people in those places that still probably look at him as the Winter Soldier, as the dude who nearly murdered all of Washington, D.C. with 3 helicarriers.
Yeah, and that's one thing that's super important. I know we're not done with cast yet, but that's one thing that will be super important to me in this movie, because ever since after Civil War, he went to Wakanda to get reprogrammed and stuff, and then of course after Infinity War, he got snapped away. 5 years later, he comes back because of they undo the snap. I know it's been 5 years, or actually longer, but I still want to see some consequence for the Winter Soldier, because he can't escape with his past. Yes, I know he was a victim also, but he's also victimized some people himself over his tenure as the Winter Soldier. So I don't care if it's a Senate hearing or if he gets not community service, but like a little time in some type of prison or jail. I do want to see some type of I need this to be a redemption story for the Winter Soldier, or for Bucky Barnes, more or less.
And I also have to wonder now, because he was staying in Wakanda, and because he helped sort of save humanity from Thanos, did he get like diplomatic immunity for his crimes afterwards?
And see that's something that we're gonna have. That they would be remiss to not to let us know in the show. But there, even if it's in a form of flashback or something, we need to know what because there's no way that Bucky Barnes should be able to walk the streets of America 6 years later, 7 years later, or not as a hero, in my opinion. I don't think. And yes, he did help defeat Thanos, but the people who are going to be remembered for that are mainly probably the main eventers, Tony, probably definitely Tony, and then like Hogue and stuff like that. So he did help, but again, this is just me fan casting, or me just writing the script of the show. There needs to be some type of consequence, some type of realization that he's redeemed for his crimes.
There probably will. And as we get into this third name, Zad, I want you to nod with me.
Mm-hmm.
Because the third member of this show is Emily Van Camp.
Yes, sir.
Returning as her role of Sharon Carter, aka Agent 13.
Mm-hmm.
It's been the last time we saw her. She was kissing someone who now could apparently be her uncle, depending on what happened in the past.
Probably was. I completely believe that was her uncle she was kissing, or great uncle or uncle, one of the two. Still, she was kissing her blood. So yeah. Time
travel is super awkward.
I'll be interested in knowing. I'm very interested in knowing how she's going to fit this story. But I am glad to see that Emily's coming back in more of and hopefully a bigger role than what she had in Civil War.
Especially, the last time we saw her was Civil War, so we don't know how she was affected by the snap or the blip, as Spider-Man Far From Home likes to say.
Yeah.
Oh shoot! There's a giant lightning strike behind me. What was I going to say?
The blip.
We don't know how she was affected by that. So, and if you haven't seen Far From Home, you might want to cover your ears for this next part because I'm about to mention that Nick Fury's in space. So is there a shield for her to work at right now, or is she off doing something else? Like what's her situation? We're still trying to figure that out in terms of her status as a government agent. But that's what we'll find out in the show. But we also know who the big bad is. Daniel Bruhl returning as Zemo. As Helmut Zemo. Is that his first name?
Yeah, that was his name, Helmut Zemo. Even though he's going to get a title upgrade in this new series. So.
Yep, and he's also getting the purple sock mask.
Mm-hmm. Even though I know they'll make it look better than that little sock did. But yeah, that's going to be very fun to see.
And probably breathable too, because I still remember hearing that Chadwick Boseman, one of his biggest complaints was that he can't breathe in the Black Panther mask. So my guess is Daniel Bruhl is probably going to find that out for himself too.
Yeah, and I did like the character Helmut Zemo. In my eyes, he won, even though it took a lot. I've seen the things, memes and stuff. It took a lot of coincidences for his plan to work. But people, it worked. He split up the Avengers when they were needed the most, and that's probably why they didn't stop Thanos the first time in Infinity War. Now, was he a victim of the snap? How is he out on prison and stuff already? Probably because of the snap or the blip. But I'm very interested in knowing more about his story.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you 100% that he is one of the most successful MCU villains in that he basically won without even landing a punch. If you think about it, like he basically managed to just manipulate everyone like puppets and pull their strings so that they threw the punches, and he came out with his hands clean.
I agree.
But obviously, him being in jail for as long as he was, that probably warped him a little bit. So we'll see like what doing time in the big house did to his mind, and if that shaped him to be this more nefarious villain that we will likely see in the series.
I hope so.
Now we get to our first bit of super new stuff in terms of Phase 4. The Eternals we've heard about it so much, and every single time we've heard about it, we still find ourselves asking, what are the Eternals?
Mm-hmm.
And we now know that it's a movie, and it's coming out on November 6th, 2020. It's set to be one of the most diversely cast movies the MCU has done yet. And the cast list includes Angelina Jolie as the character of Thena.
Mm-hmm. Not Cersei, as we thought.
Richard Madden as the character of Icarus, spelled with a K, and a character that I know a tiny bit about because I did some studying up on the Unlimited Class Wrestling Federation storyline that Marvel did a couple decades ago, and Icarus was one of their main guys for that storyline. So it gets me a little excited that maybe he'll be involved in wrestling at some point in the MCU. A guy can dream. We also have Camille Nanjiani, one of the best actors in terms of comedy and also drama, playing the role of Kingo. I have no idea who that character is. Selma Hayek, a name I never thought I would say in reference to an MCU movie. She is playing the character of Ajak.
Mm-hmm.
We have Brian Tyler Henry as Fastos. Dong Seok Ma as Gilgamesh. I believe this next one is a child actor. Leah McHugh as Sprite. And Lauren Ridloff as Makari.
Yeah, this was definitely this definitely sounds diverse, and again, it also sounds with some names that I actually know, like some pretty big names as well. Again, and through many different spectrums as well. It sounds interesting. Again, I know nothing about the Eternals at all, so I'm very interested in knowing more about it, and hopefully we'll get some more news at D23, like maybe a first look teaser or something like that, or a storyboard featurette or something about the Eternals. But this is it's interesting, it's odd, and I'm looking forward to it. Like November 6th, 2020. We're a year and only a couple months away from when this movie's supposed to premiere. So very cool.
Now, I just looked something up, and I now remember something from the Unlimited Class Wrestling Federation research that I did, and that's that the Eternals had a bit of a feud going on with a race called the Deviants. And one of the main deviants of was a character by the name of Enigmo, who had the ability to, who could basically like shrink and like, I think you could. Shit, what was his power? Biomass manipulation. So when a part of Enigma's body is separated from him, it can reshape itself into a duplicate of his whole body, albeit smaller, limited by the mass of the missing part. He can reattach these body parts at any time and even use them to grow in size. So he could make like smaller versions of himself. He is literally the argument of, would you rather fight a duck-sized horse or a million horse-sized ducks?
You know, this is the perfect example of how I feel the exact way I'm feeling right now is the way I felt about Guardians of the Galaxy when it first came out. Like, who the hell are these guys? Like, I know Chris Pratt. He's that guy from Parks and Rec or The Office, one of those shows. Or Community, could be wrong. I know Zoe Saldana. She's been in movies. I have no idea who. I know Batista. He's a wrestler. How the hell is Bradley Cooper going to be a raccoon? Vin Diesel as a tree? I had no idea about Guardians of the Galaxy, and it turned out to be a very pleasant surprise in the movie. I was happy I saw it. So that's how I'm going to this. Like Angelina Jolie, she's a great actress. Richard Madden, he was the King of the North until he lost his head. So I'm be interested in seeing him in another TV show or in another movie. Salma Hayek, Camille Nanjiani, even some of these names I don't know. I don't know. It's more about the characters that they're playing. I believe they're in good hands. So I'm super curious for this, and maybe this might be the next Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Let me be specific, because Volume 2, so Volume 1, great. So hopefully this is more along that line.
I feel like this definitely could be their next Guardians, and I think that's probably what they're going for. They're going for, because the Guardians were like, you have your A-list, your B-list, and your C-list characters, and Guardians were like the Z-list characters.
Yeah, right.
But if you think about it, the Eternals, they're like they're like the
list.
Yeah, they're on the ZZ list. Like in that no one has heard of them. You've at least heard of the Guardians. You have to be a super Marvel fan to know who the Eternals are before this announcement, let alone after it. And you know, I would assume that the Deviants are probably going to be the antagonists of the movie. Although maybe they could flip it on its head and be like, we're oppressed because we're not perfect like you. Mm-hmm. What does that say about you? And then we learn a life lesson of it can be like the Jabari with Black Panther's tribe uniting together to become brothers in the end.
Or something like the Scrolls from Captain Marvel as well.
Very likely, very likely. Mm-hmm. So it all depends on what they have planned, but I'm excited to see where they go with it. And if they do have the character of Enigma in it, maybe cast Big E because he looks kind of like the character. Just look up the word Enigma with the word Marvel next to it and see if you think to yourself, Big E could play that guy.
I will do that.
Okay, moving on. Oh, by the way, Keanu Reeves was not on this cast list, but there's still time for that to change. Just pointing that out there. Okay, now we move on to February 12th, 2021. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. We're going to get closure from that Hail to the King one-shot they did where Trevor Slattery gets, he's pretending to be the Mandarin. He's now known as like this imposter, but the real Mandarin got word of this, and he basically like, I'm going to make you pay for this. And now we are going to get some closure on who the actual Mandarin is, what the 10 rings are. In a way, this is a sequel to Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 3 without officially having Iron Man in it. I'm really excited to see where this goes. This is also going to probably be like the first martial arts centric Marvel movie that they've done, because you've had your magic movies, you've had your Viking movies, you've had your road trip movies, but you haven't really had a martial arts movie yet. So I feel like this is a great way to try something new in that regard. And the cast list has Simu Liu as Shang-Chi. You have Tony Hua Luang as the Mandarin, again, emphasizing the true Mandarin. And Aquafina, who's been in a lot of things as of late. She has nabbed herself a role in this movie, but we don't know what that role is just yet.
Just yet. Now, when Ben Kingsley said, "You'll never see me coming," I had no idea he was talking about this movie because first of all, I have no idea about the character. So Shang-Chi, that sounds like an interesting character. I'm expecting a better version of Mr. Glowy Hands himself, Iron Fist, and hopefully without a glowing hand. God, please don't go back there. But then the fact that they said, and the Legend of the Ten Rings, because like you said, this is pretty much a spin-off movie of Iron Man 3, definitely from Iron Man 3, and a sequel to that one shot. So that interested me a lot when I saw the Legends of the Ten Rings, and then after hearing other media outlets talk about it, I did start remembering that there have been like subtle instances where we've seen like the little 10 ring symbols in other movies. I'm like, wow, the 10 rings have been a clever Easter egg throughout all the Infinity Saga. So it's gonna be really cool to see it finally pay off in this new saga that we're starting in. I've never seen Tony or Simu in the movie. Again, my curiosity is kind of just like it is with the Eternals. I'm very interested in knowing more about this movie and interested in seeing this movie. Again, Marvel does not do a lot of manga, so I believe it'll be okay. But just like again, they had me hooked when they said Legends of the Ten Rings. Like, oh, so we're gonna get more into that. So I'm very interested in seeing this. It's very interesting.
As am I. And, it shows that a lot of the things we thought Marvel had forgotten in past movies, they have not forgotten. They've just been waiting for the right time to pull the trigger. And apparently the right time to pull the trigger on the true Mandarin is now, or rather in February of 2021. So it's cool that we're getting closure on a lot of the things that we thought we would never get closure on.
I agree.
And speaking of closure, we mentioned the Black Widow movie is going to fill in some gaps regarding what Natasha was doing between Civil War and Infinity War. We have a lot of questions regarding
so many questions.
What was going on with Wanda Maximoff and Vision while they were on the run, and what happened with Wanda after Thanos yanked the stone right out of Vision's head and thereby killing him. And it looks like we're going to get those answers with WandaVision debuting on Disney Plus in spring of 2021 with Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany reprising their roles of Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, and Vision. Of Monica Rambeau, who you might remember as the child from Captain Marvel. So we could be getting Spectrum in this one. That remains to be seen. But here's the interesting thing about this particular series is that it directly ties into the next movie we're going to talk about, which is coming out in May 7th of 2021, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which will have Benedict Cumberbatch reprising his role of Stephen Strange, but also Elizabeth Olsen will be co-starring in this movie.
And who will she be, though?
Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch, which is a big in my case. Like, when I heard that they actually refer to it as Scarlet Witch and not necessarily as one of the Maximoff, because we know one of the Maximoff is Scarlet Witch, but Marvel Studios has had their hands tied from using that name for like years. But now that they actually have Fox like in the corner now, since Disney owned Fox and they can use that title, Scarlet Witch did some screwed up stuff in the comics and stuff. She is a powerful being, so I'm very interested in knowing more about this movie. This is probably my most anticipated movie. It is my most anticipated movie of Phase 4 right now. Because the Multiverse of Madness. She's mad. I'm so ready for this movie and got years to wait for it.
If I were to speculate as to what happens between the TV series and the movie, and I think you'll probably agree with me on this, she was probably driven to insanity after that battle with Thanos, of just like she needed Vision back in her life, and she probably created like some sort of fictional reality, which could be the reality set in the 50s that we were rumored to see this series take place in. And her creation of that screwed up the multiverse to the point that we have to have Doctor Strange come in with his own movie and try and pull her out of this crazy multiverse that she's created for us to reside in. So in a way, we're getting House of M without the mutant aspect that we know of.
And that I'm so glad you said that, because you heard it here first at 10:21, 11:21, wherever you're at, 10:21 p.m. Central Time. I think this will be the catalyst for the mutants in the MCU. I think this is how they'll eventually be brought into the MCU. So we probably won't see the X-Men yet, but I'm almost willing to bet money, which I don't have very much of right now, that they'll somehow, like how in House of M, there was what was the line? No more mutants. I think this will be the catalyst for mutants to actually sprout and like to actually be introduced in the MCU now.
So she actually so instead of like eliminating the X gene, her madness actually creates
it. I 100% believe that.
I can get behind that. I can get behind that.
Because I do think she's gonna go. I think she's going crazy with the whole without Viz being there, and so I think the whole 50s stick, because that really never made sense to me. Like, why is this being set in the 50s? But I heard somebody say that she could actually just be creating her own little world, maybe in an insane asylum. I mean, the very first vision, no pun intended, that we saw of Wanda was when her and Pietro were in and I believe it was the end of Age of Ultron. No, forgot what movie it was, but it was Civil War. No, not Civil War. Winter Soldier. When her and her brother were being locked up by the Baron, and they were she was just crunching those alphabets and stuff like that. She looked the same there, so I'm expecting.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Could we get Aaron Taylor Johnson back? Could he play Quicksilver?
We could. Hell, we might even get Evan Peters into this universe. But I would like to see Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting him.
Yeah.
Wishful thinking. I mean, they're both kick-ass actors, literally from the movie Kick-Ass. But,
Kick-Ass.
I think the budget's only there for one of them.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. I mean, why not? This would be a great way to bring her brother back into the MCU in some way or another. So this One Division, and knowing that it, again, so many questions for that, but knowing that that TV show directly impacts this movie, I'm very interested in seeing this.
I just thought of one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be possible that Nightmare, who people will remember from the first Ghost Rider movie, could he be the antagonist that springs the event that sort of jumpstarts the events of both the TV series and then the movie in respective to it? Like, could he be responsible for Wanda's mind going to these places that causes this multiverse of madness that Doctor Strange has to go in and save and fix? I mean, and thereby the end of the movie could be both her and Doctor Strange stopping Nightmare in the process.
And it's very possible. And again, I think this also could be. There's so many ways so many doors that this movie is going to open. Again, whether it be the multiverse, I also believe this is gonna. And I won't spoil Spider-Man for people. But I believe this is also going to open the door to Mephisto. And if you know what I mean by spoiling, when I say spoiling Spider-Man Far From Home, I believe Mephisto may play a part into his future in it. But I'll talk about that.
Are you thinking of the One More Day storyline?
Yes.
There's no way we're getting that continuity retcon this soon in the MCU.
Hey, if Sony has anything to say about it, maybe, but I don't know. We'll see.
Anyway, speaking of multiverse and madness related to it, y'all remember how that version of Loki got away in Endgame, and he got away with the Tesseract, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, we're going to be following that Loki in the spring of 2021 with the Loki series on Disney+. I have not heard any details about it other than Tom Hiddleston is going to be reprising his role as that Loki that hasn't had any maturity to him, that hasn't gone through the journey that the other Loki we're familiar with went through. Mm-hmm. So he's still an asshole. He's still an angry asshole, especially considering the Hulk just literally smashed him several stories above in the building he escaped from. So he's pissed, and he's just ready to wreak havoc on everybody. So, yeah, we're going to find out what happened to him.
Yeah, and I think the biggest catalyst for Loki was the death of Frigga in Thor: The Dark World, which was one of the briefest of highlights of that movie. And I think that played a very big key to making Loki a better man. So without that catalyst in this Loki's life, it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of mischief he's going to be up to. So I'm looking forward to this.
As am I. Let's see. What else is on the list? Oh yeah, more multiverse stuff, because we have Marvel's What If ... question mark. Also debuting on Disney Plus in the summer of that year.
Mhm.
Jeffrey Wright is voicing the Watcher. I think Uatu specifically. And we also have several MCU main cast members returning to do voiceover work for their characters. And I remember a few months ago we mentioned that the first episode would likely be, no, not likely, that the first episode was going to be about how there was an issue with Steve Rogers getting the formula, so Peggy Carter had to step in and become Captain America.
Yep.
But Steve, apparently, he got a set of armor from Howard Stark and became that universe's Iron Man. So looks like we could get a love story of superheroes, a nice little take on an old tale. I can't wait to see how things play out, and thank you to Malcolm for sending us a link to confirm that at least for season 1 they're going to be focusing specifically on stuff that happened in the Infinity Saga. They're going to take storylines of the Infinity Saga and then tweak one little thing and see how that change impacts the rest of the story.
Yeah, and that was that was definitely interesting to know about. So thank you very much, Malcolm. Like, they're gonna stick to stories that we know and that movies that we've watched plenty of times already, because I've already seen Spider-Man Far From Home and Endgame twice, at least twice. So most of these movies we've seen multiple times. So we'll be able to see, maybe it'll answer some questions like that we've had ourselves. Like, okay, what if they didn't kill some of these characters? And I think one character I'm very interested in knowing about, I believe Michael B. Jordan was on the list of cast to reprise his role in the show. And I would, if so, I may be wrong about this, but I believe I heard this. Well, maybe there'll be a Michael B. What if Killmonger lives, or maybe what if the real villain of the Black Panther story, T'Chaka, took his nephew back to Wakanda. That would be very interesting to see.
That would be an interesting story. Also, what if the Stark missile didn't blow up the Maximoff twins' parents? What if Cap had actually picked up Mjolnir fully at that party?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot you can do here. And I don't know what the episode count is, but I have a feeling season 1 is going to be super fun to watch.
What if Terrence Howard wasn't replaced by Don Cheadle?
That's something we're probably not going to get the answer
to. These are questions that people want to know. But that would be hilarious.
Then the movies would probably be written so much differently, because Don Cheadle is much more approachable than Terrence Howard.
Yeah, man. You're exactly right, man.
Okay. In the fall of 2021, we have Jeremy Renner, who is now a murderer. Let's all remember that he killed everybody while he was suffering in pain from the havoc Thanos had caused. But he is returning as the character of Clint Barton as Hawkeye in Disney Plus's Hawkeye to train his successor of Kate Bishop. Whether or not that will just be an alias for his daughter, who we saw him training in Avengers Endgame before she poofed away, or will this be an entirely new individual who goes by that name legally? We will find out soon enough. But basically, I remember Feige was emphasizing during this panel, that Kate Bishop is basically the best Hawkeye. So that's kind of what. So I could see like a similar story of what we've been getting with the new Star Wars movies, in that Daisy Ridley's Rey, she is meant to take what she has learned from Luke and from all the masters he has learned from. In turn, she's meant to take all that knowledge, put away the dumb stuff that they did, and make smarter decisions with the smarter information that she got from these teachings. And so from the way I see it, Clint Barton has made a lot of mistakes. And so he's going to teach Kate Bishop how to be better than him, because that's what the world needs at this current stage. It needs a hero, and he probably views himself to not be one anymore. He views himself to be something else. He views himself to be Ronin.
Yeah, and this is also going to be a redemption story, I think, for Clint. And while I believe I won't say he was justified in doing what he was doing in game. I can certainly, I guess, empathize a little bit. Again, I've never had to deal with it, but I could see what would drive him to the point where he would want to go around taking out all these murderers around the world because his family, who were good people, were killed and Thanos were dusted. However, they're still alive, so it probably definitely drove him insane a little bit. But I think, and I believe at least from Jeremy Renner, with Jeremy Renner being cast as Clint Barton, I believe this will be somewhat of a redemptive arc for Clint. And like you said, he wants Kate to be the best version of. He wants her to be the best Hawkeye, and I think this is the way of him doing that.
I think so too. There's something about teaching that helps you sort of cleanse your soul, in that you're passing on what you have learned to the next generation and letting them use that information to be better. There's something special about that. I say this as a black belt who has taught many kids and trained them to reach black belt status as well. So that there's something special about the master to Padawan relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to see that explored in this show. Now, at least in terms of Phase 4, this was the last thing announced at this panel. Mm-hmm. November 5th, 2021. Taika Waititi returning to the director's chair for Thor: Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder. That's how I've been saying it ever since I've heard the name of it. I'm like, Thunder! Like literally, I've been thinking Thunderstruck in my head because that's what it looks like, and that's what the signage of it looked very rock and roll, and it looks very interesting.
I thought it looked a little bit more Flash Gordon-ish.
Maybe so. Like I've never been a Flash Gordon person, but I can see what you mean by that. Very seems kind of old school. And I think even though Flash was more a little bit rock and roll, because did Queen do the theme song for Flash? Sorry, Freddie.
Well, basically, I'm just looking at Thor Ragnarok's font, and then I look at Thor Love and Thunder's font, and it feels very 80s-ish. It feels like it's inspired by an 80s series that Taika was a big fan of, and he wants to bring that sci-fi element with the cheesy humor of that time into these movies. And so let's clear up a few things first, because we now have some more information regarding when is this movie set to take place, because we thought we were getting the Asgardians of the Galaxy for Guardians 3. And it turns out that this movie, Thor: Love and Thunder, is set to take place before that. We might get a cameo from the Guardians in this movie, or we might just get a shot of maybe Peter Quill getting pissed off at Thor and jettisoning him out of the Milano, where he just falls and crash lands into a planet randomly. I'm not sure. But yeah, basically something is going to happen that causes him to separate from the Guardians after he was on their journey with them. And that leads us to the events of this movie. Chris Hemsworth, he signed an extension to his contract with Marvel Studios, so he will be playing Thor for a lot longer in time than Chris Evans with Cap or Robert Downey Jr. with Tony Stark. We also have Tessa Thompson returning as the character of Valkyrie, the new king of New Asgard, who, according to Taika, is in search of her queen.
You go, girl.
And this was the big holy shit moment of this panel, or at least for this movie, it was. Natalie Portman back to portray Jane Foster, but wait.
There's more.
Wait. Yes. She has Mjolnir. The mighty Thor is here.
I literally thought you were about to say, she has the power.
Oh, it would have worked so well too, especially with the He-Man Flash Gordon aesthetic that it has.
Yeah, right. She has the power. I'm sure people outside can hear me like, "What the hell's going on?" But wow, for that final episode, baby, we going all
out. But yeah, I did not expect that, especially because we all know what happened with Natalie Portman. She was okay with Kenneth Branagh for the first Thor, and but she was like, I don't really feel the need to come back. And then the rumor was Patty Jenkins was going to do Thor: The Dark World, and then she got ousted. I believe Alan Taylor was the director then for Thor: The Dark World, and she was just like, I don't want to be here. The one motivation I had for coming back is gone. So I just give me my check and let me go. And now we find out why she they kind of just kept her in the distance in hopes that they could maybe smooth things over. Like Thor was talking about her doing things in other places to help the world and make it a better place in Avengers: Age of Ultron, and then we find out that it was a mutual dumping in Thor Ragnarok. And now she's back. And I'm guessing Taika Waititi probably gave her a story that she just loved and felt, I need to come back for this. I need to come back for this. And I was talking with Grant Gregory a little bit as to what could bring her back into the fold and what would make her worthy of the hammer. Could this be like a direct adaptation from the comic in which she got cancer and she was going through chemo, but every time she picked up the hammer and absorbed its powers, it undid everything the chemo did for her? Or, in terms of more what's been happening in the movies, could there be leftover effects from when she had the ether within her system and it's weakened her, and maybe the hammer, depending on which hammer, because the multiverse stuff, it's still kind of confusing as to like, have we gotten Mjolnir back somehow or not? But could she have somehow become worthy? And is the hammer is the power of Thor what's keeping her alive? If the ether is what's infected her.
That's a very good point. Like, I didn't know that much about her, the Lady Thor backstory, but wow, that would be interesting. I mean, that'd be I hate saying interesting so much, but that'd be intriguing if they do go that route. The story of her having cancer, then it's odd that makes her worthy enough to.
So what happened more so was Nick Fury whispered something in Thor's ear that made him unworthy, and then the hammer saw Jane Foster as the next worthy person.
Okay. And I'm not sure if that's how they go. Especially since we don't have Mjolnir in our current universe anyway. But who knows? That there's many ways that Mjolnir can come back.
Could he become Could she become worthy of Stormbreaker, and something happens that makes Thor unworthy of Stormbreaker?
I could completely see Thor being unworthy from hanging with those rascals of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So that would completely make sense if he got himself in trouble throughout the galaxy. But it's gonna be very interesting to see, intriguing to see what happens with this Natalie Portman character. I'm just surprised. I'm 100% surprised that she came back, and that it almost seems like she's gonna be more the lead to this movie. I don't even know technically how much of this movie Chris Hemsworth is going to be in. Again, I believe it's going to feature a lot of Tessa Thompson as being Valkyrie looking for a queen and stuff, but also being the new king of New Asgard also. So I wonder if Jane is going to have something to do with that, or how's she going to play it? How is she going to play into the story? How she's going to get the hammer? So many questions, but we do have time for this movie though, because this is November 2021.
Yes, and I just thought of something that would make me super happy.
King and Queen.
So I bet people are thinking Valkyrie and Jane Foster. Mm-hmm. They could end up being an item by the end of this movie. But for the love of God, bring Kat Dennings back and have Darcy be the queen to Valkyrie's king.
If we bring back Thor 1's Darcy, okay. Darcy from the Dark World, hell no. No. Her and that boy that she was hanging around with in that movie got on my nerves. Right? If we could get back to Darcy from the first Thor, that would be interesting to see. But the second one, nah.
Like seriously, I could see Valkyrie loving something about Darcy's moxie and her just willingness to say whatever's on her mind, and they would just hit it off instantly. I feel like there's something there, and Taika Waititi could write a script that would be able to capture Kat Dennings' style of comedy perfectly. Make it happen. Make it happen. Make Valkyrie a thing.
Valkyrie. You heard it here first. I need you, whenever you post this, later, Nico, I need you to make sure that you hashtag that. I'm not sure how you spell that right now, but VALKYROSSI.
I could have said Valkyrie as well, but that kind of sounds.
That sounds like Zachary.
Which sounds less stupid. Which sounds less.
Sounds better. I like that one. So that'll be interesting to see. I do admit that.
I honestly hope that happens now. I think I just landed myself in the one position I always tell my sister not to put herself in, which is don't get your hopes up making up a fan theory, and then when that fan theory doesn't come true, you're upset about it. I feel like I'm gonna be upset now if this doesn't happen.
Don't do that to yourself, Nico. Just think of it as high hopes, and if it doesn't happen, oh well, at least you reach for the stars so you can land on the cloud, hopefully. Kanye.
Okay, so that was the last of the Phase 4 lineup that Kevin Feige had announced. Now, he did tease other things like the introduction of mutants, like the introduction of the Fantastic Four, and like various other franchises returning, like the Guardians and like Captain Marvel and like Spider-Man. But I think we'll find out more about those for at D23, if at all, because it looks like Phase 4 is just going to be 2 years, and then Phase 5 will be the next couple of years after that. So we're off to a good start here. But they did officially show us something for Phase 5. So imagine I'm Kevin Feige, and I have my hat on as always, like I always do. Like, I bet he sleeps in that thing and takes showers with that hat.
Yeah. I just hope it's clean somewhat.
And he's just like, ladies and gentlemen, Mahershala Ali.
Two-time Academy Award winner, Mahershala Ali, too. Oh, damn.
Indeed.
Yeah, winner.
And then he basically gives him a hat. He's got these sunglasses on, and he just says one word: Blade.
That's what the hat said. Hat says that. That's what his hat says. Then you see Blade appear across the screen. Like, this was a big, oh damn moment in my case. Like, whoa.
And you have to. One of the things we forgot to mention was that Scott Derrickson basically wants to make Doctor Strange the Multiverse of Madness, like the MCU's first horror film.
Yeah.
As much of a horror film as you can make an MCU film. Keep in mind, these films have all been PG-13, but also literally half of the universe was wiped out in one of those movies.
He can do it. If he wants to make this a horror movie, I believe he can do it as well.
But setting up the horror genre in the MCU also means that you can get characters like Blade, the Daywalker, the vampire who survived his mother's death and birth, or at least that's how it worked out with the Wesley Snipes version of the movies. It's crazy that he's finally here. And like, they were sitting on him for a long time, and then they slowly started reintroducing him in the comics and in the cartoons and in the video games. And now we thought for a second, could we be getting something on Hulu or on Netflix? And now here he is, possibly getting a movie or a TV series on Disney Plus. We're not entirely sure yet, but he's going to be a big part of Phase 5. Or for all we know, he could maybe show up sooner. and
Yeah.
the Phase 5 could just be his series or his movie being released at that time. But he's here, and he's played by Mahershala Ali, one of the best actors who could possibly play him.
Agree. Like I agree. And while it was important to me to know how Wesley felt about this also, and I saw that Wesley Snipes he's giving Mahershala the bit 2 thumbs up. So I saw a congratulations message from him on I think either Twitter or something today. So I'm happy about that. But Mahershala, this is gonna be big. Like first, it does hurt that I think this officially says that Luke Cage was not part of the MCU, but if that's what we had to give Mahershala Ali as Blade, that's gonna be pretty dope because he's gonna bring the acting ability, and I know I love the first Blade movie. I love the second Blade too, but I'm very interested in seeing how he's gonna be as a character to Daywalker. If he's gonna bring more emotion to the Daywalker, because Wesley was a little bit cheesy in some parts. I mean, motherfuckers like, yeah, I won't say the line, but let's just say skate uphill. But I'm very intrigued to see Mahershala in this role, and this is a big get, I think, for the MCU. I mean, we've had I was gonna say Aquafina, but we've had Angelina Jolie, some other great actors and actresses throughout this series, but this is great. This is really great in my eyes.
It definitely is, and who knows what else could be featured in Phase 5.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume we might be getting the Ultimates. And I don't mean like the multiverse version of the Ultimates that came from the Ultimate Universe. I mean like the version of Avengers named the Ultimates in the current comic book continuity that features like Black Panther and Captain Marvel and Blue Marvel. Which, by the way, I feel like Eddie Murphy as Blue Marvel would be a good casting choice. Resurrect his career the same way you did for Robert Downey Jr. with Tony Stark. Just a suggestion. But I feel like we're setting up for a future that we probably did not expect we would see, and I'm excited for it. Like the MCU, they keep delivering every single time, and who knows? It might not be long before like Phase 7 could be. Let's do a crossover with DC. Let's bring in the Amalgam universe and just see what fun we can have there.
That'd be very interesting. And shout out to again Hunter from the chat because I see he brought up the fact that this could also be he would like to see a Midnight Suns be a movie, or maybe he says movie, but I could even see a TV show because I think also with the fact that Blade being introduced in the world now, even though I know he's getting a TV show on Hulu Plus, I think this opens the door also to Ghost Rider being introduced, and as Hunter said, Moon Knight. That'd be. I don't know much about the character in Moon Knight, like at all, but I know he's been a fan favorite character, especially for somebody that they wanted to see on Netflix. So I'm not sure. I heard that he's a violent character, so I'm not sure if they'll go 100% movie with that. But then again, I think that if they can PG-13 Deadpool, they can PG-13 anything. Even though that wasn't Marvel Studios, but I think Marvel Studios can get hold of that.
The best way I can describe who Moon Knight is he's undead Jewish Egyptian Batman.
That sounds like a wild card right there.
That's literally the best way I can describe it. Because I'm not a Moon Knight fan. Sorry for the people who are. But that's basically just like the easiest way I can describe him. And oh well. But yeah, it's an exciting time to be alive with the MCU growing as we thought we would. We're literally going to have to start saying MCM, the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse now, because they are embracing the multiverse side of things now. Like, forget about Quentin Beck may have been lying through his teeth for a lot of things in Spider-Man Far From Home, but he did get the multiverse right. Whether or not he knew he got it right, and we are exploring it greatly as we move into Phase 4 and onward. And
agree.
We're in a very exciting time. Unfortunately, we won't be able to share in that excitement in the future because, well, we've reached the end of our final show. Our hashtag Our Last Crisis has come to an end.
Yeah, we tried to keep you hostage, people, for long enough, but I think anything longer than 2 hours, that you might have to call the cops on us, and this could be criminal charges could be filed. So we're gonna let you go now. But we do thank you for all our fans. I'm sorry, Nico. Just want to say thank you to everybody that's watched. If you watch one show, if you watch every show that we've done 28 of these, and it's been fun. And it's been fun being able to express how much from we started from just like Arrowverse discussion shows, and then we branched out to like all geek stuff, and from the Arrowverse to all geek stuff, it's been a blast. Like, cause it's all stuff that we love. So it's been great, and thank you to everybody that's watched. Again, if you watch one show, to if you watch every show, it's been great. So thank you.
My sentiments exactly. We didn't. Kane McMillan, I want to thank him a lot because he kept pushing to try and get the show to grow as much as it could, and I guess like viewer interest just might not have been there for some of the stuff we were talking about because the Arrowverse was a niche thing. So then we tried to branch it out with news of everything, but maybe we weren't talking about the news stories people wanted to hear about. To each their own. You all had your own reasons for why you did watch or why you didn't watch.
Mm-hmm.
But we kept doing this because we loved it, and Kane saw a lot of potential in the show. So I want to thank him for being our biggest cheerleader for as long as he was. I want to thank him. I want to thank him for letting us continue doing the show until after Comic-Con, so we could have that one last big news story to end the show on. Zaddeus, you're my brother in arms, man. We are the heroes for hire, and it felt good to do the show with you for the 28 episodes that we did. We're still probably going to hang out and talk a lot.
Most definitely.
Our discussions just won't be publicly broadcasted for all to see now.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, they do drag on sometimes to that third parties might not want to listen for that long, but hey, it's us. We can talk forever and not get bored.
Agree. And then people can pick and peck throughout the show that they want to see and just fast forward through what they don't want to see. I agree with you. We have that chemistry is there, man. So it's been great. It's been a blast working with you with this. And we're still in the house together. So
of course.
That relationship is always there.
House Night Fury forever.
Exactly.
Unless something happens in New York and maybe I get some sort of call up early, there will be some developments on that in time.
So you just represent the house on the major league, and if that's the case, I want you to get a tattoo somewhere on you like at the house. Actually, don't do that, Nico. Don't get a tattoo like on your neck of the House Night Fury crest.
I believe it or not, I do not have a single tattoo on my body. I've thought about it, but I'm one of those guys who, if I got a tattoo, I'd be like, I wish I had done this differently, and then regret it the exact next day.
I'm similar.
So maybe if there are still T-shirts on the Multiplex account, I'll probably buy another one with the crest on it.
There we go.
Indeed. But, from one last time, Zad, let's get into plugs. Again, and also, thank you one last time. Like, share, subscribe. Obviously, the show's not going to continue, but if you want to just send people to, watch the discussions we had and see how crazy they got, whether we were talking about comics or whether we were bashing the Trump administration, we had a blast. we had a blast the entire way through.
And big shout out to Supergirl Season 4 for that, too, because it helped a lot.
Oh, yes. But Zaddeus Z-Man Smith, the TV Throwdown champion of the world. One last time, where can the good people of the internet find you?
Well, just like me, this is the last time that at least for now, this will be the last time you can see the handy dandy whiteboard, where you can find me on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram at Zaddeus Smith by searching my name. That's ZA2DsEUS, or just on Instagram at Zaddeus, again ZADDEUS, or on Twitter at D_ZADD. Again, my handwriting is horrible. Or you can find me on the Stardust app doing movie and TV reviews on at RetributionZ. I just did a review for that movie that is you. I won't say how I feel about it, but you have to go see how I feel about the Lion King on my Stardust app. Again, just find me on Stardust at RetributionZ. You can find me doing trivia all around the league. If it's Facebook on the Multiplex, just find me doing trivia in multiple places. And wow, I would say every Tuesday night you can find me right here, but right now it's time to ride off into that horizon. Farewell and adieu, me fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, me ladies of Spain. Good sir, Nico, where can they find you?
I honestly don't know where that reference came from about the Spanish ladies.
Jaws.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Nico Suave Regoli, or just Nico Suave with 4 random meaningless numbers thrown in at the end on Discord. You can find me over on Dedicated to Art or at D2A channel, depending on the social media platform. We do Schmodown reactions, and every Friday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we have the Who Cares Anyway podcast, where you can listen to it on audio only after the broadcast is over, wherever podcasts are available. You can find me over at Combat Wrestling Trivia on Facebook, Combat Wrestling Network on YouTube. The poorly made Twitter handle is at Combat Wrestling, the number 2. There is no letter G in that handle. Rolling Crits or on YouTube, at Rolling Crits on Instagram. So basically, here's the situation. My friends are too busy to do any streaming or do any tapings until the fall. So enjoy those 2 episodes that are still on our YouTube channel over there, because I don't think we'll be adding a 3rd for at least a couple more weeks. It is what it is. They're still figuring. They've been at this for less time than I have when it comes to the YouTube stuff, when it comes to the internet stuff. So they'll get the hang of it when they get the hang of it. Yeah, that's actually all I can plug now. I mean,
yeah, I know.
I'm no longer a moderator on the Multiplex page, and in terms of just the fan league stuff, I'll be competing and managing the House Night Fury competitors. But yeah. This has been my last obligation as a behind the scenes guy for Multiplex, and it feels weird to say that. What am I going to do now? I mean, granted, I can enjoy the break I have now that I have one less show to do throughout the week.
Yeah, Nico, please tell me there's a beach behind you.
There is a beach behind me.
Do it. Come on, people. If you want to see Nico running off into
dude, I'm on the 3rd story of a giant building. If I run off of this thing, I'm gonna crash right into the ground.
Okay, don't do it. Don't do it. But that would be dope. See, just dive into the ocean.
And if I were to dive into the ocean, it would take me like 15 minutes to get from this to the bottom floor to the ocean, and then back, and then say I did it. So.
Hey, we can wait. We can filibuster just in case. But no, again, we're approaching that mark. We don't want to keep these people hostage too much longer.
Yeah, we should probably close it here. Well, folks, for one last time, that is Zaddeus E-Man Smith.
Thank you again, good people. It's been a pleasure to come here and bring entertainment to you, because again, it's always been for you, the people, that we do this show. So thank you.
I am the Cosmic Night Fury. There's the Night Fury. Nico Suave Regoli. And from all of us here at Multiplex Entertainment, from all of us here at Crisis on Earthplex, consider your crisis averted.